So how will we get fiber? Well, private investment decisions are fairly simple. They look at the cost and expected return, and if expected return is higher than the cost, they'll go ahead and invest. And if expected return is lower than the cost, they won't invest. And countries like Denmark, where you have remote areas with low density population, well, you know what happens there. What private companies don't always do is look at the social benefits of investment, what we call externality spillovers, which come from the benefits I've tried to talk about. It could be on education, health, etc. These are benefits which obviously private sector doesn't take into account. So the work we had done is to look at what is the size of the spillovers which would justify a fiber to the home network. And I'm not going to go into the model, but just very quickly, we looked at different costs in rolling out a network, costs also with whether you would pass all homes or only subscribers, what are the take-up rates, etc. And we have a paper on this. It's on our website, and I've put the reference to the paper at the beginning of my slide. Oops. One of the sorry, I have to go back one. The outcome of the paper showed that for the four sectors that I talked about, electricity, transportation, education, and health, on average across the OECD, if you had a cost savings in those four sectors ranging between 0.5% and 1.5% over 10 years, this would justify investing in a point-to-point national fiber to the home network. And we did this for all the OECD countries. The range in savings for Denmark is from 0.6 to 1.2%. So it's not a huge amount of funds to put into a fiber to the home network. One important issue is that if governments do get involved in infrastructure investment, and often governments do when they go out to the more remote areas of a country, there's two important things in our mind. First, of course, they have to extend access, but secondly, it's important that they foster competition. And for us, an important issue is having open access. So when the public pays for a network, we should expect that users have choice, that there is competition, that service providers can use these networks. So open access is an important issue. One thing I wanted to mention was network neutrality. I'm sure it'll come up today in your discussions. It's important. It's important to treat like in the same way, like services, like networks in the same way. But when you're looking at high speeds, it's fairly clear when you go over a certain threshold that fiber is the only technology that can provide those speeds. And Denmark recently came out with this report, Denmark as a high-speed society, and I think even in there it recognizes that, that fiber is the only technology when you go above a certain threshold. I think that report mentions that in 2020 demand will be 1 gigabit a second, and only fiber will be able to provide that. So when you look at technological neutrality, it's an important consideration, but nevertheless you need to take into account that when technologies differ in the kind of services they provide, you cannot always have technological neutrality. Let me conclude. Spillovers are very important, and they need to be taken into account. And governments can take them into account. The private sector will not. It's just part of their investment calculation. New networks should be forward-looking. We shouldn't build networks which we have to pull out after 10, 20 years and then have to reinvest. And if you look at what many incumbents are doing in Europe, they're going, for example, to VDSL, which I think everybody knows is not going to last that long. It doesn't provide, in the long term, the type of capacity which we would be looking for. Fiber is the foundation for future networks, and any government investment in networks should make sure that they foster competition in the market. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dimitri. I have the possibility now to present the panel, politicians, who have the opportunity to put forward questions. And I know Jørgen Lundsgaard from the Conservative Party actually is upheld with some parliamentary negotiations later. So you have to leave us in a moment, just a moment. Torsten Schack Petersen from Venstre, Hanne Agersnap from SF, Ole Hækkerup from Socialdemokratiet, Mikkel Denker fra Dansk Folkeparti, and Claus Frantzen, who is chairman of Radikale Venstre. You have now the opportunity to put forward questions to Dimitri. Please, Jørgen, you'll be the first.
Thank you. Denmark has an aging population. This is both good and a problem. Additionally, we now foresee that Denmark will be populated in the future by highly qualified people, which means they all have a very good education. Then we have the last problem, which who will take care of all those old people? And nobody really in the future wants to make the manual work. So the only foreseen solution is, as you pointed out in some of your slides there, that you have robotics and then take a few people, skilled people, to take care of the robots and to take care of the old people. What will the requirement to a future network be? How high? We saw here. Is it 100 megabyte or is it a 100 gigabyte network we need to install to start to fulfill some of those demands?
Good question, but it's very difficult for me to predict the actual requirements. I think the point I was trying to make is that there's so many new applications, new requirements on the market that what you have to have is a network which can be easily upgraded over time to meet these without having to pull out that network, put in a new network in place. And when you have fiber to the home networks, it's fairly easy to change the electronics in one end or the other end to upgrade the networks. You're quite correct. There's a whole range of applications which are coming to look after the aged. There's a whole range of sensor networks which are being put in place. Again, some of them look after people. It's very difficult, as I said at the beginning, to predict the future. But the point is you have to be prepared to meet that future. And you can do it at a much lower cost to the economy and to society if you have a network which is future-proof.